Chapter 213, 1975. I hereby state that adequate notice of this regular meeting has been provided to the public by a written notice dated September 12, 2019. The meeting notice has been, one, posted on bulletin boards and at the Board of Education building, two, communicated to at least one of the board's designated newspapers, and three, filed with the Borough Clerk of Palisades Park. Roll call, please.
Thomas Matarazzo.
Here.
Stephanie Jang.
Yes.
Jason Kim.
Yes.
Rebecca Lee.
Here.
John Madison.
Here.
Are you here, John?
Yes.
Ewan Min.
Here.
Barnabas Will. Jeffrey Will.
Here.
Timothy Yang.
Here.
Dr. Cirillo.
Here.
Mr. Choi.
Here.
Okay. At this time, I'd just like everyone to join us in singing our board secretary's birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Go get us somebody has to go get her.
She's done. She bolted.
She'll be back.
She has to be.
They all come back.
Not all of them.
Wow.
Whoa.
Come, it's raining out. If the alarms go off, you're in
Listen.
trouble.
Okay, we'll start. And we'll sing it again when she comes out. Okay,
We can't do roll call either. You see what you did?
statement of presiding officer. I'd just like to say, number one, happy birthday to you. Okay, why you can't make a wish? And we're still here. I'd just like to say that Min and I went to a meeting last week for the County Board of Ed, and it was very, very informative. There was one thing about Unsung Hero that I have to speak to Dr. Cirillo about. That was a phenomenal idea where they picked one student. I'd like to find out more about it. From every school. It was outrageous. It was a great meeting. We had a great time. Unfortunately, Min, and congratulations to Min becoming a grandmother that night. So I said, what are you doing here? Leave, go. She had to go to Pennsylvania, but that's how dedicated she was to be there, and I thank you for being there. Thank you. And also, I'd be remiss if I did not mention about the outrageous beefsteak dinner that Rose spearheaded, and I congratulate you and the whole Booster Club, and I thank you on behalf of the Board of Ed. It was outrageous. It really, really was.
They paid over $5,000 that day.
Wow. I'm sorry?
What it's in the phone?
I don't even know.
That's the dinner.
This is
Oh,
for
that's
the
the
other
dinner. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and everyone had a great time. The football players were outrageous. The cheerleaders. It was well attended. It was a great job, and I thank you for all of your efforts at that event. Okay, report of the superintendent.
A few items I would like to mention this evening prior to a recognition ceremony and student test scores that we are, compliance reasons, we do annually. First and foremost, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that the steamer and kettle at Lindbergh Elementary School is purchased, it's up and running, and everyone is happy, I hope. Food is being delivered and served in a hot and timely manner. Number two, this past week, we had visitors from a high school in South Korea. In my 17 years of working in this community, 7 years as superintendent, I would go on record and say this was by far one of the nicest, most accomplished group of young men and ladies that attended our building. From their attire, from their mannerisms, and the overall authenticity in how they interacted with our children, I want to give credit to where it's due, and that is ultimately with our children, our student council reps, who are really a part of that. So kudos to them all for really opening up their arms, accepting these foreign children who are their peers and friends, but really a credit to the administration, and I publicly thank four that are here tonight with us, Mr. Donahue, Ms. Voris, Ms. Bongard, and Ms. Parados. Thank you all for all of your efforts. Finally, from me, before I turn it over to the administrators, one of my favorite board meetings annually is the October meeting. It's not because of trick-or-treating, it's not because we have September behind us. It's because it's an opportunity to show off. It's an opportunity to present to the board and publicly acknowledge some of our finer students in the Palisades Park School District. It's something we've done now for 4 years. It's something I would love to continue for years to come. And it's not an easy feat. Any student, and there were approximately 15 identified in our district that had a perfect score on the park assessment and or any advanced placement test, was invited to be here tonight. I guess the weather prohibited some from being here, and for those of you that are here, congratulations. I am going to call each and every one of you up. I know your parents are extremely proud of you. We, as educators, as parents, as professionals, as well as everyone in the audience, is honored and humbled to work with your children, and I give a lot of credit to you all as parents. I know the job starts at home, and you trust us, so really, from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much for trusting in us and sharing your fabulous children with us. So, if Dr. Matarazzo would join me, I am going to mention some children by name, and hopefully you are here. We will take a quick picture, and then as a group, if you can head out to the lobby for another picture. In no specific order, I have Edward Kang. Congratulations. Great job. Emily Gong. Emily, great job. I'll have a certificate for you. Sean Lim. Great job, buddy. This young lady is not only someone who's a repeat attendee, but also our #1 singles tennis player, and almost had a perfect score in multiple subjects, Soo Jung Kim. Congratulations. She's given tennis lessons on the weekend. Ellen Kang. Congratulations, Ellen. Great job. Is Julian Mullen here? Julian! Julian, did you come alone? I'm starting to worry about them. Where are they, parking? All right, so. Julian, we're going to call you back later. Great job. Congratulations. Jason Lee. You told me he was, buddy. You lied. Matthew Munoz is not here. Samuel O. No. Audrey DeLo. No, that's a mistake. No. Jean Pack. Jean is here. Congratulations, sir. Great job. Benjamin Han. No. Andrew Kim. I think that's everyone. Andrew Kim again. Myung Lee. Yellen Lee. Gerber? No. And Arun Jung. Congratulations to you all. All of your students and children can please just head out to the lobby. I think Ms. Doheny would help out. I congratulate you again. Thank you so much, and congratulations. At this point, I am going to ask that the test score presentation from the 2018-19 Palisades Park School District is presented for the board members. We have the projection behind us. I will see that maybe we turn the light off. It might be easier. and bear with us. Much of the information is numeric clearly, and it's going to be a lot to digest. What I will share publicly is all of this will be on our website after tonight. If there are any specific questions to any exam specifically, respective schools can answer those to the best of their ability tonight. We'll clearly go more in depth at a later date. You don't have to. It's okay.
You're just so funny, John.
We're warming up.
Not us, then.
Wasn't on this side. Photo from the kids.
Come in there. Thank you for your patience.
Okay, I'm just gonna start with a, quick introduction about the state testing. This is not the PARC test any longer, it's no longer called the PARC, it's the New Jersey Student Learning Assessment, and that's what we'll be reporting on this evening. We'll also report on our RETA scores, we'll talk a little bit about the science administration, we don't have those scores, but we'll just mention that, and our DLMs. Those are tests that we'll discuss with you as well. So we have the 5 different levels. Level 1, not meeting expectations. Level 2, partially meeting. Level 3, approach. Level 4, met expectations. Level 5, exceeded. And again, we're looking for level 4s and 5s, showing that the children are well prepared for the next grade. So the way the state has asked us to divide all of these numbers up is we're looking at every level, and we're looking at it through multiple years, from 17 to 18 to 19. And they're dividing it into each level. And of course, the goal is to have less at the lower levels. We want to move closer to that level 3, and even though it's not passing yet, we want to get those students from level 1 to 2 into 3, and of course our goal is 4 and 5. So, as Dr. Cirillo said, it's very difficult to digest all of these numbers. I can barely see it, and I'm standing right here. But this will be on the website. If anyone has any specific questions, and again, it's divided between language arts in grades 3 to 10, and then it is in mathematics. The state, move to the mathematic percentages. Statewide, I think one of the trends, some of the math is going down, and later on in the presentation, you'll see what are we doing to address some of our weaknesses. And again, we do have weaknesses, but we are moving, we're trying to move into the right direction. Many of our subgroups, again, the state does divide the scores into subgroups. So there are many different subgroups that we also look at, the demographic subgroups, our ESL learners, our ELL learners, our economically disadvantaged students, our students with IEPs, and then the different ethnic groups, subgroups. So all of the scores are divided, and the state is asking us to really look at those subgroups and look at ways to increase those scores. And what are we doing to address those needs? This slide is, you're looking at the changes. You're looking at the trends and the changes. And again, at Lindbergh School from 3 to 6, we do have more in that level 1 and 2 except in 6th grade. And then we're moving on in level 4 and 5 except for 4th grade. We have less students. So these are the areas that we need to focus on, and we are focusing on all of these areas. Do you want to just mention a little bit about
trends here? Sure, just to give a little bit of meaning behind the numbers. When we're going back, I'm gonna flip back just a slide or two. So just to clarify here, what we're looking at is grades 3 through 10, and there's 3 columns for each year. There's 3 columns for each level the year was tested. So we see level 1 results in 2017, 2018, 2019, and we can identify the trend from levels 1 through 5. So again, as Ms. Bungard said, we have our ELA percentages, and then we have our mathematics percentages. So this is taking a look across a 3-year time period or 3-year test administration, how the trends develop in each of the grade levels. So just a reminder, mathematics at the high school level is not tested by grade level, but rather by course. So we see here results in Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2, as opposed to grades 9, 10, and 11, for example. A quick note here, you see a star next to 8. It's important to recognize that a number of our 8th graders are in fact taking the Algebra 1 assessment as opposed to the Math 8 assessment. So we have them testing out of grade level because they are testing an advanced level course. And, yes,
How about geometry?
how many?
How about the geometry class? They are all
Geometry is also by course, so that will be a mixture of, say, 9th and 10th graders, for example.
so why they are zero in this case?
I'm sorry?
Why are they zero in this case?
In this case, we had the 2018 at level 5. We had 0 students attaining level 4, we had 0 students attaining level 5. That's not the tested number of students, that's the number of students who achieved that achievement level, the percentage of students. Right, so we're not looking at numbers of students, we're looking at percentages who achieved. So for example, in geometry, if you take a look at level 3 in 2019, you see that we are approaching expectation. A majority of our students fall into that level 3 at 40.9. We don't yet have students achieving level 5 in geometry. But we do see an overall trend in growth. So you see an overall trend from the 2017 level through the 2019 level. Here the pluses and minuses are quite easy to decode. A minus is a drop in level. So again, we want to see more minuses in the levels 1 and 2. We want to see more pluses in the 4s and 5s. And in many cases, we do see that happening here.
My sign in front of my house, too. Just saying.
Excuse me. And here's our mathematics percentages. Here we're talking about the total number of students who have tested and the difference between the tested numbers in 2018 and the tested numbers in 2019. So we do see a decrease in the tested number of students. That's important to note here because as per NJDOE, our 11th graders were not mandated to test this year. 11th grade testing was optional. So you do see a clear decrease in the number of students tested. What we are taking advantage of is students who have attempted to take an NJSLA or a previous PARC assessment. We see some of our students who are struggling to attain exploring alternate pathways to meet their graduation assessment requirements. So students are now afforded an opportunity to meet the graduation assessment requirement via a number of different methods. And you can see our overall trends here in grade level. And here's our ELA. And in math. You also see a decrease. Generally, the decrease is mostly at the high school level, again, as a result of the 11th graders not being mandatorily tested.
We also see a decrease, if I could just interject 1 second, sorry. We also sometimes see a decrease in the number of students tested between ELA and math because our newcomers to the country do not test in ELA. Everybody takes math, even if they've only been here for a short time. But ELA, if they were here less than a year, they do not take the ELA test. So that's why you may see numbers that are a little lower in ELA rather than math.
So here you see the district percentages as compared to state trends in grades 3 through 10 in English language arts. In most cases, we are approaching on par with state trends. And in one of our next slides, we'll point out some highlights. Here's our math trend percentages, district as compared to state. And again, this is looking at just the last previous spring's administration, the NJSLA. It's important to note that our mathematics tests are given in the student's native language. They are offered in a number of languages, whereas all ELA students test in English. Mathematics are provided to students in their native language, including the instructions. Grades 3 through 10, ELA percentages. This is overall spring 2019 in English language arts. We're looking mostly at the last column, the furthest right, the percent of students at level 4 and 5. That's the big number for us. That's the students who are meeting or exceeding expectations. The percentage of students, excuse me, not the number of students. And here we have in mathematics, again, grades 3 through 8, and then the content tests for Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2. Again, the column furthest to the right, percentage of students at levels 4 and 5 indicate the percentage of our tested students who meet or exceed expectations. Here we've done some work in subgroups. I'm going to ask Ms. Broaddus to join me. We're going to talk about grade level subgroups, and here you'll see an overall trend. We're looking at the percentage of difference in greater than or equal to level 4. So again, meeting or exceeding expectations. The column furthest to the right in bold, you'll see the trend of plus or minus. So Ms. Broaddus will speak specifically to grades 3 through 6, and then I'll jump back in and we'll talk a little bit about grades 7 through high school.
Sorry, I'm gonna apologize in advance for my voice tonight. So if you look at that last column and then looking at each subgroup, overall, the trends are that our subgroups are doing better. We're seeing both the plus sign, and this is all for level 4 and above. So our subgroups overall are doing better. Of course, we do see some weaknesses where we've gone down a little bit in various subgroups, but this is grade 3 and grade 4 in last year's administration. Did I go too far? And here is grade 5 and here grade 5, we're seeing a little bit more in for negative in our increases. We would like to see that go up. And in grade 6, we again are seeing our subgroups increasing in their level 4 and level 5 in the various subgroups. Those are our subgroups all the way over to the left. You can see what each subgroup is that we're speaking
What is
about.
the last three, ED, EP, and ELL, what else? What is that?
Economically disadvantaged is ED.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
IEP is student who has an individualized education plan, and ELLs are English language learners.
I see, okay, thank you.
Sure. Chris, did you receive that grade 7?
So here we see at grade 7 and 8, again, the percentage of difference at levels greater than or equal to level 4. Our grade 7 and 8, we do see increases in most of our subgroups, and we do recognize that there are still subgroups that we have some work yet to do with. This seems really important because what this data does is help us tailor strategies to specific groups of students. Now you're looking at this holistically, you're looking at entire groups of students, but what we at the building level are able to do is disaggregate this data even further, take a look at specific students, and then tailor education plans to fit their specific needs based on the standards they have yet to master.
Can you hold on one sec? Why are all the 8th graders who have IEPs only in 1 and 2, and everyone else is 0?
So in the 8th grade level, students with IEPs.
I know they're in column 1.
Are in 1 and 2. So we have 50% of students achieved a 1, 50% of students achieved a 2.
That's hard.
It's not good.
That's absolutely hard. What are they attributing that to?
Well, we have,
Grade 8.
I'm not quite sure. We have to break down standards.
Because
see
that's a
deficiencies were
significant change from obviously the younger grades. That's
it.
upsetting. Because I
Yes.
have a child with an IEP.
Of course you do. So we need to take a look at standards, and we need to figure out where the deficiencies lie, and then we need to tailor plans to help support these students achieve those standards.
I mean, I know they're in high school now.
So now don't forget our grade 8 students,
Are in.
a majority are taking the Algebra 1 assessment as opposed to grade 8 math. So we are talking smaller numbers of students, so keep that in mind.
That's a lot of students not doing that.
As we move on to grade 9 and 10, we do see increases in grades 9 and 10 in a majority of our subgroups, specifically at grade 10. If you take a quick look at grade 10, we see a steady increase in most of our subgroups there. Again, we are talking smaller numbers of students in these cases, so keep that in mind, where we're talking percentages, not numbers of students here. And then here's our mathematics percentages. Again, the trends tend to divide far to the right, greater than or equal to level 4. Level 4 is mastery, level 5 is exceeding expectations. And we have 3 and 4 here. Did you want to speak to 3 and 4 mathematics? This part?
Well, we could, I just want to give everybody an opportunity to see, I just want to say.
And again, your mathematics courses in high school are content course or course specific as opposed to grade level specific. So some of these numbers are in fact mixed grade levels of students. No, absolutely.
These next few slides, you're going to see the WEDA scores. This is the test that our ESL students take. And again, the proficiency levels, entering, emerging, developing, expanding, bridging, and reaching. And again, we're trying to be in that expanding, bridging, and reaching. This is what the proficiency test tests for our students: listening, speaking, reading, writing, oral language, literacy, comprehension. And then the scores are divided up on the right side for reading, writing, listening, and speaking. This slide will show you all of the students in K to 12 who have taken the test, and then again it divides it into the levels. It is the students who are in level 1, the students who are in level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5, and level 6. And again, you can see the level 5 and 6, as you do see some zeros there. Those are where we need to address and support those students. And a little later on in the presentation, I think you'll see some good concrete examples of how we are supporting our students. DLM, or Dynamic Learning Maps. This is an alternative assessment that is given to students. Again, it's in ESL, math, and/or science, and it's designed for students with certain disabilities where they would not be taking the New Jersey Student Learning Assessments. So they would be able to show their achievement by taking the DLM, and again, it is broken down into emerging, approaching, at target, and advanced. For our school, we have so few, for our district, so few students taking it that we don't report the results. We report the results, of course, to the parents and school administration, but we don't report it publicly because there are not enough students for us to report out. As I mentioned earlier, the NJSLA Science Spring Administration, we don't have the results yet, but they were taken in grades 5, 8, and 11, and as soon as those results come in, they will be presented to you in a forum like this. So these are some of the achievements of Lindbergh School. Do you want to talk on that?
So, Lindbergh School, and we did see several students recognized here tonight. We had 5 students achieve perfect NJSLA scores. 3 were in mathematics and 2 were in ELA. Some of the things that we are very proud of and happy to report that the number of technology devices has increased. So we are almost 1-to-1 in various grade levels, particularly in the upper grades. And as a result, the students have greater access to these devices and greater instruction. So that's enhancing students' online test-taking capabilities. So our hope and our belief is that as we continue to proceed with increasing this instruction and students' technological abilities, that will stop any of the problems that they're having as far as navigating the test. And then they can just focus on the content. There are various features that need to be mastered as far as technology in order for students to be successful on the test. At Lindbergh School, grade 4 students increased by 5.4% in mathematics and levels 4 and 5. Overall, the state had not done as well, so we were very proud of that. We also saw, as we mentioned earlier, many of our subgroups have increased in levels 4 and 5. I don't need to read all of this to you, but overall, we are pretty pleased with how our subgroups are doing, and we're hoping that we can continue to target all of our students' needs, and oftentimes we are targeting the subgroups based on their academic needs as well. Intervention strategy? Okay. So these are some intervention strategies. We looked at the scores, we've looked at the data, and we've looked at ways that we can help all of our students improve, not only on the test, but of course in meeting the standards. So every afternoon, from 4 days a week, we have ESL afternoon targeted groups for newcomers. We have many, many students who are newcomers to this country. Some of them come with very limited educational background. So we are targeting them outside of the academic day. They're not losing any instructional time in the school day, and they are receiving actual time to just target their needs as newcomers. We were also able to work very hard on the schedule this year. We have a double block of pull-out ESL instruction in ELA for all grades 1 to 6. There's not back and forth. In the past, we only had 1 period of ESL. Now they have 2 periods of ESL, and that coincides with the classroom teachers' reading and writing period. So it's not that they're leaving the room and they're missing math or another academic area. They're getting exactly what they need targeted towards their ESL. We also have a double block of inclusion ESL instruction in ELA for grades 5 and 6. So some of our older students who have been in the country a little bit longer, who have a greater proficiency in English, they're able to be included, yet supported by an ESL teacher in the ELA classroom. We also